Okay, so welcome to this next video on mitosis. In this next video, what we're going to do is we are going to talk about the final stages of mitosis. So far, we've done prophase, prometaphase, metaphase, and anaphase. And we've got to the point where the sister chromatids are being pulled apart. Okay, the next step that happens is telophase, basically. And in telophase, what begins to happen is, firstly, the nuclear envelopes reform, and you now have two nuclei. So, what's going to happen, telophase, that's good, is you're going to get the nuclear envelopes reforming, and this can happen because you've now inhibited cyclin B CDK1 complexes, which were responsible, basically, for the splitting of the cell, for the decomposition of the nuclear membrane. And I'm going to restart my position of my picture, of telophase. So it should be more like this, because the cell is starting to split into two, so I want it in a dumbbell picture. So basically what's happened is we've reformed the nuclei, so the nuclear membranes reform around these two now separate genomes. So we pulled apart these sister chromatids in anaphase, and now we've formed nuclear membranes around these whole genomes. So they have now 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs of homologous chromosomes, and that's in each one. So each one is perfectly diploid, and they are effectively two identical nuclei. In addition, in telophase, you start forming a contractile belt of proteins down the middle of the division axis, basically. So this is a belt or a ring of contractile proteins that starts to form, basically, and it starts splitting off the two cells. So you get this ring of contractile proteins. Now, that's what happens in telophase then. So in telophase, the nuclear envelopes reform, and you start to get this ring of contractile proteins splitting the cell down its axis of division. Then finally, the final stage of the cell cycle is cytokinesis. And in cytokinesis, what happens is this ring of proteins basically contracts smaller and smaller to make a furrow, basically, a tiny little connection, and eventually that's just going to cut off and you're going to split into two cells, basically. So it contracts and sort of constricts that connection between these two portions of the cell. And basically, eventually what you're going to get is the cell actually dividing into two daughter cells, like so, with nuclei which have the full genetic information in. So every single chromosome is in here, all 46 of them. Okay, and that is the process of mitosis, pretty much. That's the final stage of the cell cycle. We have now gone from having one cell to having two cells.